Now, we heard a lot about big data, and it heard a lot about how data can work for you, and how you need to, how a lot of big fantastic things can happen with tons of data. But most of the times, as brand managers or marketers, we have the reverse problem. How do we get to start on data? And how do we convince our bosses or our teams internally that data is good and there is a way in which you can make it work? These are some of my experiences or insights that just help us understand that if I'm able to start small, make it work, and let's look at some 5 or 6 small tricks. If it works, your bosses love it, they love you, and then company gayi bhaad mein, mujhe raise mil gaya. So we try and see how it works. We start with a typical statistician in an office. Most of the time in office, statisticians are largely out of place, because we are the guys in marketing who try and run the entire show, and then there is the technology guy, etc. So statisticians are the most fun creatures that are ever created. Like, I'll give you this example of a statistician who went to give an exam, and there was a true and false answer. So he didn't know, he had not prepared. So he said, एक काम करता हूँ, मैं टॉस करता हूँ, हर एक क्वेश्चन को टॉस करके आंसर लिखता है. तो टॉस किया, आंसर लिखा, टॉस किया, आंसर लिखा, टॉस किया, आंसर लिखा. Everybody's finished their papers, has submitted it. Last में the examiner goes around and asks the statistician कि तू, why don't you give the paper? He's saying, sir, एक second, मैं अभी भी टॉस कर रहा हूँ. क्यों, क्या हुआ? He's saying, मैं answers check कर रहा हूँ वापस. So it's true, false. Okay, that's another bad joke. Okay. Data is important, and data is what you use out of it, and data can help you go ahead. I've always learned that if I talk to you and appeal to your self-interest, it typically will work for you, and that's how data tends to work and gain traction within firms. One of the things that I like to explain to you, that data can be twisted and sorted and tortured to do whatever you wanted to admit to. So as marketers, we always wanted to believe that whatever we do has a lot of value and has business impact. There is one example. There's a fantastic book from which I picked up this example. It's on statistics. Does this go somewhere? Yeah. Look at these two charts on using statistics to lie beautifully. So if you look at it, this is an old 1937 piece of data where you're showing that government payrolls of US actually significantly went up. But if you take the same data, same X and Y axis, you just change the scale here, is the same data point. So for marketers who love to prove a point, all I want to tell you is that data will help you prove the point. So if you're not consuming data, if you're not capturing data, you're probably not proving your point, and there's some reason why you're not getting your promotion. But look at that. It's the same data, it's just differently shown. Now, this brings me to the point of visualization. You need to visualize your data right, and none better than this data chart. Now, this will, if this won't put you to sleep, nothing will. These are four data sets. They are actually from Anscombe's quartet. Has anybody heard of this term? Okay, it's very interesting. Whenever you get thrown tons of data at you, use this keyword and confuse the shit out of the guy who's trying to throw data at you. Here you have X and Y. The mean of X in all four cases is same. The sample variance of X and Y is the same. The correlation between X and Y is the same. And there is something called a linear regression line between X and Y is identical. All four data sets on mean, sample variations, correlation, and linear regression line are identical. But if you simply visualize it, basically you just graph it. They are four completely different sets. When you look at it, the relationships are completely different. So when you see data and you see them typically in Excel sheets, or you see them in numbers, you miss the wood for the trees. You need to see it in a graphical visual format to make it actionable and to make any sense out of it. Let's take another example, which will be another stuff that will make you probably sleep, and all of us have seen it. This is the lead flow analysis. This is obviously some random data that I picked up from my office. Random from my office didn't make sense, but we basically cloaked it so that I'm not giving out actual confidential information. This kind of data was the lead flow analysis कि हमारे को office में all 7 days what time I get what kind of lead. Anybody will look at it and say, चलो ठीक है, what does it make sense? This is the hour, roughly 8 बजे 9 बजे चालू होता है, 6 बजे तक lead flow है. During the week it is equitable. This is how largely you will read a table that is being put up. Most of the time we realize and we have data, the problem is not the data, the problem is the way it is put up. What we did was very simple. We wanted to tell call center that you need to move your timing according to customers and how they give in leads. He said, मैं 8 बजे चालू करता हूँ, 9 बजे चालू करता हूँ और 6 बजे बंद करता हूँ. तेरा maximum तो आ गया इसमें. Nothing big to about it. We said, ठीक है. We graphed it. This is the big, we simply graphed it. Now when you graph it, look at the magic that again happens. Here, you had 2 peaks, okay? Now 2 peaks are extremely important because when you look at, when you start trying to manage customer service or when you try and manage your outbound call center to talk to lead flow, if you understand 2 peaks, you try and manage your call center timings accordingly. Second, the big thing is that in the afternoon between 1 to 2, you can use for doing follow-up calls. So you know how to man your staff, you know when to do your follow-up calls. We realized that 8 o'clock is also a significant chunk. So on the graph you again realize that there is a significant chunk. So from 9 o'clock when the guys used to come in, amble in, 9:30 you start taking your first call, and 10 o'clock is when you were actually trying to call up your customer, your lead volume had already peaked, plus you have a backlog of volume of 2 hours coming in. Before 8 o'clock it was significantly lower. After that it was higher. So you start staffing accordingly. So you say, tell your call center that you need to start at 8 o'clock in the morning so that you don't have a pile up. Then you see another significant peak towards the later part in the evening. Again you tell your call center, this is what you do, because if you don't call up here, you will have a backlog at the morning at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock and not knowing what to do. Simple graphing. That's what Anscombe's portrait tells us. All you need to do is graph it, you need to see it, it will make magic for you. This is not big data stuff, this is not big analytics, this is simple stuff that you and me can use, have used, and can make intelligent marketing decisions out of it. The other part I like to look at when you look at typically your SEM and display campaigns, etc., especially SEM campaigns, a lot of our agencies talk to us about how do we fine-tune our SEM campaigns, how do we spend a little more here, spend a little more there, how do I try and manage and optimize a campaign. Now one of these things is that you are, first thing you have to understand that you are in a boxing ring, you are competing vis-a-vis your competitors also bidding at the same time at the same place. In fact, for most of our keywords, very funnily, it's not even our competitors. We get some foreign competitors talking about forex rates or who got nothing to do with the Indian market. Now they start bidding. Then you look at your other competitors and they start bidding, and you try and understand that. So while we look internally, there is also data that we need to look externally. So what did we do? We went and asked Big Daddy, and Big Daddy in this industry is obviously Google, on what's happening. There's a lot of dashboards that they give. So the kind of data that they give is universal impression, share of impressions of us versus other brands. It gives us our quality score, average CPC, CTR clicks, हमारा data देता है. How do you now extrapolate? You just take simple mathematics and you extrapolate that if your quality score is X, if you believe your CPC is reasonably at this number, you are able to understand what is it for your competition. You are able to get a simple data point for your competition. When you do it for your competition, let's say on the desktop theme, again, this is just random data for competitors. Let's say we have 4 competitors, and these are the different themes that he is bidding on. Because I looked at this data on this table, I realized that I may be spending on these themes. My competitors who are in this room or who are going to see, this is not real data, but this is only indicative. I'm spending on 4 themes and I am like big daddy over there. But I see my competition, this guy is trying to be smart, he's also trying, he probably has lesser money, but he is also trying and going across all. This theme is reasonably, everybody is basis the amount of budgets they have, they are spending money. But what you realize is there is this interesting theme 4. On this theme, I see few characters, competitor 2 and competitor 4 spending significantly high. In one case outspending me, and in another case significantly higher, and this guy is vacating most of the other themes. He is staying away. So the answer that data tells me is that most likely he has a limited budget. He is going for the champion theme, except of course this one, the next best theme, which is good for him, and he is trying to outspend me, and this guy is trying to match up what I spend. Basis this, what do I do? Simple data points tell me I just take theme 4 and I outspend him. Now, again, most agencies or most analytics, when you have very deep analytics like the way we do, is that on theme, on keyword, we try and manage what is the lifetime value of that customer. So whatever I bid little more over here, after 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, it will show on my graph. And it's very scary. So I can't take individual calls. I get very scared taking individual calls. But when I saw the data in this fashion, I started taking these calls holistically, saying that if I bid high over here, in all likelihood, competition will be having an X amount of money to spend. I will either price him out of what is reality. Reality is that this guy would likely to have around 3.5–4 lakh rupiah to spend in that month. If I am able to outspend him, A, he has to increase his bids. 2, he finishes his in 10 days or 15 days, and I get the rest of the 1 month to enjoy at lower prices. I effectively drive him out of competition on only one theme, and in that one theme, it is only 30% of my total spends. So my impact is very low, his impact is very high, he is out, I am in. And this is very simple use of data, where you just put it in a table, use it with respect to competition, you can create impact for you and make sense, delivering knockout blunt. This is another small handy trick that we stumbled upon. Everybody looks at your average CPL, average cost per lead, or average transaction value, or most data points will try and put it that what is your, because you won't be able to ever analyze too many data points, you will take your average. Now in this average, automatically you have 2 problems in front of you. You have those which are your top performers and those that are your bottom performers. Typically, I see, and I especially see agencies, I see competition, I see other marketers, when you're going for leads, when you're looking to acquire more customers, especially on the Google side, they will start concentrating here, high cost keywords. In these high cost keywords, they will find 100 different ways to reduce the cost. They try and bid low, etc. But average is such a beautiful term. Average has to be used smartly. The bottom, counterintuitively, we realized, is at the bottom because you haven't spent enough on it. What we did was reverse. We took all these keywords which were on the bottom side, and we said, suppose I increase the cost of all of this. So whatever is low, I don't spend more, I increase the cost of it. Google is very funny. Moment you start bidding more, moment you start getting more leads from there, your average cost actually comes down. Let's say if your cost was, let's say 200 rupees a lead, from that keyword you start bidding more, it may go up to 220. For sure, your cost will go up. But that's not what you want. You want your average cost going down. Your cost on that theme will go up, but the number of leads that you get from that theme will more than compensate. So when you look at data, look at your top performers and try and understand whether you're spending enough on that or not. If you're spending enough on those top performers, then you'll probably have the right mean. Otherwise, in all probability, your mean may look sexy, but it's on the higher side. So when you start spending more on your top performers and you start increasing the bids and you start saying, give him more leads at that lower value. So if your average is, let's say 250, from 200, you went up to 220 on your bottom, your top performing leads, but the number of leads went up, your average will shift. And you, at the campaign level, will benefit. You'll get more leads at a lower cost. This is a simple hack of averages that you must understand when you go in for data. Otherwise, you will get tons of data getting thrown at you, and you're expecting to take decisions without really understanding some of the core tricks. On data, there's another funny incident that happened. There was a fire in a waste paper basket. So, moment the fire happened, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Let me try and figure out a fire extinguisher. When I get the fire extinguisher in office and I'm trying to put it out, I see my statistician friend. He's setting fire to 5-6 more waste paper baskets. So, usko puch raha, kya kar raha hai? You're supposed to set out the fire, you're setting more baskets on fire. He says, whenever there is a problem, you have to increase the sample size to solve it. So, that's what a statistician likes to do, and which comes to the next problem. Another problem that you would have seen n number of times being thrown at you, and it's always thrown at you, A/B testing. Okay? Now, A/B testing is fantastic. You're supposed to have A/B testing. You should do A/B testing, A versus B. You should put both the creatives out. Now, just imagine this. Let's say again acquisition. A/B testing on ad text, A/B testing on creative, A/B testing on landing page, what you're doing, A/B testing across different themes, which themes are working. At some point of time, an average Joe who looks at the A/B testing numbers will get completely fried. Ki ye hai kya? You need statisticians in your office to tell you how it works. But at every point of time, I have asked a very simple question, because when we did A/B testing some 3-4 years back, we had a lot of fun. A page versus B page. One was showing a lead conversion ratio of, I remember 15%, and the other one was showing 17%. So you're saying, is A better or B better? So somebody said, obviously, B is better, it's showing 17. So when I simple question, statistically significant hai kya? 2%. The guy is looking at me like, okay, uske liye we need a statistician, or we need to throw enough data in it, or we need to understand that how statistically significant is that number. And this obviously requires you to have statisticians, it obviously requires you to do different things. Again, being Indians and being an Indian firm, we didn't want to hire a statistician at that point of time. Probably when your campaign becomes large and it warrants a statistician, please, by all means, he's better than what I'm about to propose. But we came up with a simple hack. Forget A/B testing. We called it AAB testing. What you do is, instead of A and B, whatever is your original A, you replicate it once more, A1, and then have B. So you have 3 landing pages, A, A1, and B, or 3 creatives, A, A1, and B. A and A1 are identical creatives, and then you have B. Now you run your numbers and run your ads. You will realize that between A and A1 itself there is a difference. One will be at 15, the other will be at 16. Then you ask B. Now, if B is also at 17. It doesn't make sense, because the difference between each, the error rate of that sample is 1, and you've beaten it by 1, so you've not beaten it by much at all. This simple hack has saved us tons of money, and it has helped us take decisions. So no matter what, is it a good sample size? Is it not a good sample size? Sure, a larger sample size always is better. Having a larger sample size, how much better? AAB beats hands down most mathematics. So if you get through this kind of stuff, you're done. So these few simple hacks will help you get maximum money out of your digital data campaigns. I'm sure there is tons of crores of rupees that you will want to spend on a fantastic solution and a data solution. But if you don't understand some of these basics, or you're not able to do any of that, most of what will happen, you may not be able to squeeze maximum value. The idea is to wake up, and wake up now, and use this data to your benefit without complicating it. It is simple, it is doable, it is possible, and it is possible in Microsoft Excel. It is possible. Thank you. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, am I okay? Do I get a gift for that? Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Oh God, throw him out of here. How many did you set fire to?
No, but I really like the approach of that A1B. I think it's something which most guys struggle with, and I think it's
Correct.
great that you point that out, because that's one question I keep asking people is that, is it statistically significant?
It is, is it significant,
Yeah.
correct?
So I actually developed a simple Excel plugin that can solve that for a lot of marketers, personal thing that helps solve that problem to some extent. One key question that I always have to marketers is that, what is that key metric that you should go after, which could be a good indicator of success? So, you know, I have clients that tell me, let's look at CPL.
Yeah, I
Let's
know.
look at leads. Then we have definitions called verified leads. Then we say, okay, let's look at leads that are ringing but not responding.
Correct.
Okay, let's look at number of appointments set.
Correct.
Let's say appointments set but not interested.
Correct.
So the thing is that ultimately you need to look at maximum of 2 indicators in your campaign. One maybe at a creative level, one at a post lead level, right? One pre-lead, one post-lead. And so we've been working, and we had some success sometimes we failed.
Yeah.
Okay, so according to you, what would it be? Maybe just from your industry
I'll
perspective.
tell you what we've done.
Yeah.
A very, very valid question. When we started also, we were looking at only CPL, cost per lead. Then we said, वो गलत है. Cost per qualified lead. मेरा वो phone गया, has he gone through? वो भी ठीक है. CPL मेरे को अभी मिलता है. Cost per qualified lead 1 day lag पे. Then we'll say cost per account opened. That is 30-day lag. Then we said cost per rupee of brokerage earned. That is 5 months, 6 month lag before it shows any numbers. And by the time it happens in 5, 6 months, you can't do anything to optimize your campaign. And no matter what you do in terms of predictive, a lot of things change. So, and that is, see, I'll tell you what, as a marketer, no, my always thing is, if you understand business, it's very important. Now, as a marketer, you are saying, get the maximum revenue possible. But what you don't realize is that you are running a lead channel for the sales team. You may get that one sexy lead that gives you 5 lakh rupees brokerage. The sales team will kill your campaign, will kill you, and your marketing department shut. So the way we look at it, you know, RBI has 2 mandates. One is inflation, and the second is employment. It has to manage both. The way I tell my guys is same. One is inflation, revenue, brokerage. You have to manage that. Second is employment, number of leads. Your customers, your customers for marketing is the sales channel. Are there enough leads going around to the sales channel? Some guy, poor guy in Rourkela, उसमें leads नहीं आ रहा है. He can make your life hell. So you have to ensure that there are number of leads as well as brokerage. So like RBI, who manages both, because एक करता है तो दूसरे में problem आता है, एक ऊपर करता है दूसरे में problem आता है. We try and manage also in a similar way. We know that there is a base level of leads beyond which per salesman X number of leads से नीचे आया ना, salesman starts needling. That cannot go down. Brokerage X number से नीचे आया, my boss starts needling me. I can't go wrong. So these two numbers I constantly try and manage. And which is the right number? I think for the business owner, the complete, my boss's 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 boss, it's CPROB. But he's 5 steps away from me.
Yeah, but also on a day-to-day level, like you said, there's a lag. Every time you take one more intelligence, there's a lag, right?
Yeah.
Now, just today I was talking to one of my clients. He's here in another stream. And I came to know that, you know what, that actually the sales that he reports in the month also contains 30% of leads generated in previous months.
Okay.
And now that 30%, out of 30%, that 80% is significant to 2 months.
No. So you come to my business, I'll give you 6 months का एक साथ आ जाएगा.
Right.
So we flipped. See, I'll tell you what. Again, if you want to understand data, no, you have to understand and think like a businessman. So we flipped it over. We said January, let's say January 2015. I spent, let's say, 20 lakh rupees on leads. How many leads did I get? I track January leads generated and which are closed through the year, but they are attributed to January against 20 lakhs spent in January. If you, see again, if you mess up your axis, you will come with exactly the same problem. I spent 20 lakhs this month and you will say, इतने leads का account खुला, लेकिन वो तो कहाँ से खुला है? So that is a simple thing, like you statistician will tell me, VLOOKUP. So we run VLOOKUP.
That's exactly what we're doing now.
We run, correct, we do that as well. And only problem now that my data is now 4 or 5 years old, every month I do VLOOKUP on the entire base, because you know what, suddenly 2010 ka one customer opened his account now.
I think offline I'll introduce you to him. He does the same thing. I think we can share some Excel tips.
But you have to understand, I think if you think like a business guy, so if any of this you saw na, it's all basically thinking like businessmen. And the way I say it, it's called Gujju Dimag. I'm a Gujju, so that's what I keep saying. Gujju Dimag lagao na, 99% of data analytics chal jata hai. But if you put too much of it, no, it becomes analysis paralysis. You just, too much data. Then you say, take control, and you tell the data, now it's up to you. So then that's a different model. Then you have to trust that the data works and the algos work and you constantly tweak the algo. And I've been in broking. I know exactly how algos fail. So in billions of dollars they fail. So, but having said that, I still believe in algos, but you have to learn how to work with them.